What's up guys? Today I'll be teaching you all about the ins and outs of competitive Ouwigahara. First on the list is just a basic rundown of how Ouwigahara works. For those of you who came here for the competitive Ouwigahara rundown, I'd advise you skip past the general overview and maps, because if you're doing competitive you probably already know how Ouwigahara works. If you don't, then you probably should stick around. But maps don't even impact competitive, which we'll get into later. But first up, the general overview. You start off with 5 minutes left in the dungeon. Killing enemies will add more time to your time left. If it ever reaches 0, or you die, the run is over, and you will be sent to the Ouwigahara shop. If you die before your time runs out in normal Ouwigahara, you can revive, or if you are playing with friends in a normal Ouwigahara, you can spectate. The time you gain per enemy changes depending on if you are in competitive or normal Ouwigahara. In normal, you will gain about 5 seconds per enemy wave. We'll get into the competitive part later. In Ouwigahara, 2 enemies spawn every 10 seconds or so. Now, I don't think this actually happens, but the number of enemies that spawn every 10 seconds may or may not go up over time. This won't affect competitive dungeons, because you won't get that far. But just know that there is a chance, if you get far enough, that maybe the number of enemies increases. I'm not sure. Usually it's manageable though. It's the boss waves that get complicated. Every 90 seconds, so every 1:30 on the total time clock, a boss wave will occur. The more boss waves that pass, the more bosses will spawn. The bosses are randomized every wave from the following list: Inosuke, Muichiro, Giyu, Chiron, Sanemi, Sabito, Kaden, Bandit Leader Zoku, Zenitsu, Rengoku, Tengen, Swampy, Doma, Akaza, Susumaru, Yahaba, the Hand Demon, Enmu, and the Flesh Monster. Some of them are terrible, but others aren't. We will go over them in the boss section. But first, the maps. In Ouwigahara, you will spawn on one of 7, I think, maps. Either the tents, the snowy map, the volcano, the pillars with a grassy center, the torches, it has pillars, the hill, or the oblong one. My personal favorite is the volcano because of how small it is, and some maps are better than others for group play, while others are better for solo. Usually, the smaller the map, the better for solo, but the bigger the map, the better for multiplayer. Either way, it doesn't quite affect competitive dungeons, as you always get the same map. But next up, Orbs. Now this is the section that took a majority of the time for this video, researching and figuring out how long each orb lasts. But either way, there are a total of 6 orbs in Ouwigahara. There used to be 7, but Wisteria poisoning was removed, because I think it was buggy. After each orb spawns, you should keep a mental note of when it did, because each orb will disappear after being on the map for 3 minutes. But some have different durations than others, and by durations, I mean how long their effects will last. The health and stamina orbs both activate instantly and raise the respective stats of all players in the lobby to max, either health or stamina. The +3 points orb does, you guessed it, give you +3 extra points per kill. It's best to try to stack this with the 2x point orb in order to get the most out of it. The +3 points orb lasts for 2 minutes after you pick it up. Next, the 2x point orb. As you may have suspected, it doubles the amount of points you get from everything. This is the strongest orb to get in Ouwigahara because it boosts the points you get over time. The 2 times orb lasts for 90 seconds, so slightly shorter than the +3 orb. You should keep this in mind so that you know you have a 30-second window between getting a +3 orb and getting a 2 times orb. The insta-kill orb is one of the more neutral orbs to get. While getting it allows you to insta-kill anything you hit, it also takes points away from what you would get from a kill. Normally it takes about 3 points away from each kill you get, but when combined with just a +3 orb, it isn't as terrible as it may seem. At least, if you aren't doing competitive, because in competitive, every point matters. However, when you add a 2 times point orb to the +3 and the insta-kill, the insta-kill orb becomes way worse, as it takes away 5 points away from your score whenever you get a kill, taking it from 16 points you'd get per kill to 11. Lastly, the invisibility orb, or the worst orb in the game. It lasts 3 minutes long, and during that time, no enemies will attack you or run at you. It's that last part that is the problem, because it makes grouping up the enemies impossible. When you have an invisibility orb, time is of the essence. It may not decrease how many points you gain, but it makes it 10 times harder to clear out the entire wave when you have to run across the map multiple times just to clear out all of the bosses. I would not recommend taking this orb if you are late into any kind of Ouwigahara run, competitive or normal. Now, back to the bosses. It's a good idea to categorize all of the bosses into 4 groups. We've got annoying range, annoying knockback, perfectly fine bosses, like they don't really hurt at all, or like they don't completely throw your run. And the worst of them all, animation moves. First, we have the annoying range enemies. These are almost as terrible as the animation moves, but they actually allow you to get hit and don't waste your time. In this group is Zenitsu, Swampy, Sasamaru, Yahaba, and Enmu. Zenitsu is annoying overall because of his dash moves. I kind of consider those range moves. And also his just lightning range move. Swampy has the point-and-click stun and also the point-and-click dash. Both are super annoying. Sasamaru, Tamari, and Yahaba, the arrows, along with the arrow trap, which is really annoying. Be careful, because it can also activate on walls next to you. So it can even hit you in the air if you're not careful. And Enmu has the stupid, annoying grab, which is also an animation move. We'll get into that later. Next is the annoying knockback. These are annoying because they usually end up resetting your escape bar, but you still manage to get hit before you can fully escape. This gets really annoying really fast. But on this list are Muichiro, Sanemi, Giyu, Sabito, Akaza, and the Hand Demon. Muichiro with his stupid dashes, I swear. I mean, they aren't the worst, but it is pretty bad. Sanemi, because, again, the dashes, and they do knock you back a lot. I've gotten knocked back into orbs I wasn't trying to hit before because of him. It's terrible. Giyu and Sabito, because of their water wheel move. Those are just kind of completely annoying because it's hard to hit them, but, I mean, they usually don't end up kicking you out of the group too much. Akaza, his down smash is annoying as all get out, and the worst offender of all, Hand Demon. His slap, his scream, his boulder, they're all annoying as all get out. Some of these aren't the worst, but Muichiro and the Hand Demon are absolute menaces. Third are the perfectly fine bosses, the ones you ideally want to spawn. Some can get kind of annoying, but they aren't nearly as bad as the other ones. These include Chiron, Kaden, Bandit Leader Zoku, and the Flesh Monster. Most of them don't have a ton of range, don't have a ton of moves, or literally can't move. But generally, getting these few is great as they don't have annoying movesets. Finally, the bane of my existence, animation move bosses. This includes Inosuke, Tengen, Rengoku, Doma, and Enmu. Inosuke, Tengen, and Rengoku have the most obvious animated moves, as they have a whole cutscene which wastes a ton of time. But then Doma and Enmu have 2 moves each that I'd consider animation moves. Both of their ults and their grabs. Both of their grabs, Doma's sliding grab and Enmu's little tentacle out of the floor grab, make you unable to be hit and essentially waste your escape bar because of how far they throw you. But Doma's also has the risk of bugging you outside of the map, which has happened twice to me, which is super annoying, and it completely ruins your run. While their ults don't keep you being unable to be hit, they do both cause them to be immortal until it finishes, which is so annoying because you can't cancel their ult. An important thing not to glaze over are the disasters, which can make or break a run. While there aren't many straight-up good disasters or events, there are events that are not as bad as the others. Here, I'll be quickly ranking them on a list with a quick explanation as to why. First up, no event. Easy S tier. Literally doesn't change how you play. It's goated. Double disaster. It causes too much stuff to go on. I don't got time to read all that. And you're almost guaranteed to get one bad event. F tier. Multi-disaster. Also F tier. Same exact reason. It is even worse. I think it might also be more rare. I didn't even know there was double and multi-disaster. Either way, they're both terrible. Time stop. D tier. It's annoying, and it can also ruin you if you get unlucky with the timing, in which time will stop every 10 seconds or so. So it can get bad, but there is a warning so you can avoid it. Petrify. A tier. It's usually not the worst thing. It'll if you're getting jumped, it'll give you time to clear them out. Killing them usually does still give time, but I'm not sure whether or not it gives points, which is unlucky. A tier either way, because it can save you from getting jumped, and even if it doesn't, the most it does is gets rid of 2 guys worth of points. It's not that bad. Double health. C tier. Again, not the worst thing. Usually you can kill all of the enemies before the next boss wave, but if you are getting overwhelmed, because it only doubles the health of any NPCs alive at the time of the event. So if you're getting overwhelmed before the event, you're just gonna die. But usually you aren't getting overwhelmed when the event goes off. Either way. Next up, no stamina regen. B tier. On the wiki, it says that you can't get stamina from anything, I think. Yeah, on the wiki it says getting stamina in any way is futile and it won't work, but I'm 99% sure potions just work, straight up. There's just no natural stamina regen. Next up, no health regen. A tier. I am pretty sure it's the same thing as no stamina regen. It's supposed to keep you from regenning in any way, shape, or form, but I think all it does is makes the green potions useless, so literally just use the red health potions. I mean, the orbs still work too, I'm pretty sure. Anyways, next up, Meropia. C tier. It gets so annoying not being able to see that far, but it's not that bad because you can still see the red diamonds of the enemies showing up. So, and it can be glitched sometimes if you turn off and on your lantern at nighttime. It can just completely go away. Next up, Astigmatism. D tier. This thing is so annoying. I mean, you can see the red diamond, so it's not bad, but the blurry vision is so annoying. I can't imagine having to wear glasses. D tier. Next up, hemorrhage. C tier. It's really not that bad. As long as you have more than like 3k HP total, losing 25 HP every 7-ish seconds isn't that bad. And you can still use potions, so it's basically neglected by using one green potion. Well, that's all of the events ranked. Next thing we'll be going over are the restrictions added when going from normal Ouwigahara to competitive. Many things in Ouwigahara change when going from normal to competitive. First up is the addition of an ultimate bar. In competitive, you must fill this bar up in order to actually use your ult. It can get annoying when you are trying to use your ult in the early rounds, but later on you can usually use it freely. The time you get per normal enemy wave is also reduced to 3 seconds total instead of 5, which makes the longest time possible to last way lower. I personally haven't made it past the 1338 mark. Another thing to keep in mind is that in competitive dungeons, they try to remove as much luck from the equation as possible by making sure it is the same map every run. I believe they also made it so that if you kill certain enemies at the same time, no matter the run, they will drop the same orb every time. So if you want to hyper sweat and min-max the points you can get as much as possible, you can record your runs and then watch them back for specific timings in order to get as many +3 orbs and 2 times orbs as possible. But besides these changes, they're basically identical. Next, I'll teach you about how to start getting optimal points for your runs. In order to get the most points in your competitive runs possible, you should be avoiding the insta-kill orbs. I mean, it only makes sense. And you should be doing this until about the 13-minute mark, when you absolutely need to be killing them instantly to make it past the 13 minutes and 30-second mark. And also be prioritizing getting both a +3 points orb and a 2 times point orb to spawn as close together as possible. After that, don't kill any mobs for as long as you can until you think one of the 3-minute durations on the orbs is gonna expire and they'll disappear. And then just grab the orbs before they expire, clear the wave, and you'll get the most points possible you can. It's not that hard, and with this knowledge, you should be able to get onto the leaderboards, as long as the cheaters don't come back at least, and you are fully kitted out besides champion gear. Just make sure to stack your orbs and don't pick up invisibility orbs late into the game, because they are trash. With that all said, I wish you luck in your competitive Ouwigahara runs. Just make sure you don't kick me off the leaderboard, because I already did. Anyways, that's all for tonight. Have a good night, and see ya.